Hello, folks. This is old Hunter again. Doing my little series every Thursday. I got a couple little funny stories I want to tell, and then after that, I'm going to read a chapter out of a book I just got through writing called Lost in the Amazon. Okay, I'm going to start off with the first little funny story. My brother and I and a real good friend of mine went up to Pascagoula River Swamp, and I took a little old creek I knew up in there. Pretty good ways, about a mile back up in there, where I could get away from a lot of people when they went deer hunting, because I knew there was a lot of hogs in there too. Well, the first day we hunted, never seen no deer, but I got a nice little, about a 70, 80-pound hog. I called my friend because he was the closest one to me. We drug it out to my brother, and we took turns dragging it until we got it out to the boat. Got a little cold drink to drink, got in the boat, come on home, skinned it out and poured it, put it in. I had a refrigerator out on the carport of my workshop that I ate my deer meat and hogs and all that. Put it in there, we had plans on going the next day. Right and early next morning, we launched the boat, took off down there, and went back in the same area because I found them hog roots around a couple of big old white oaks, and they were coming to them pretty good. It was a big old sow with about 8 or 9 of them little 60, 70-pound piglets. They wasn't piglets, full grown. They was probably old enough to have babies anyway. They was still with her anyway. Anyway, I dropped my brother off on the way and dropped my friend off on the way, and I went back up in there where I killed the other hog. I had left my climbing tree stand on a tree. So up the tree I went, hunted till about 12 o'clock, and told I'll come down at 12, we'll go back out of the boat, we'll get us a bite to eat and drink a cold drink. So I picked my friend up, went on out, got my brother, picked him up, and we walked on out to the boat. My friend was saying, I ain't seen a doggone thing yesterday or today. They ain't no deer or nothing in here. My brother said, I ain't seen nothing either. Well, we sit down at the edge of it was like a bluff. We sit down there and was able to lean our backs against that grassy bluff. We're sitting there drinking a cold drink and some Vienna slots, sardines, and crackers. And I heard some dogs bark way off in the distance. I said, oh, there's some dogs running the deer. They started getting closer. I said, darn, it's coming this way. Well, we had set our muzzle loaders on a tree about 15 feet away. And before I could get up and go get a muzzle loader, a deer jumped off of that bluff and jumped right over the top of us and was gone. I looked at my brother, I looked at my friend, I said, did y'all get to see a deer close enough? I thought that was pretty funny. Here we ain't seen a deer, and one jumped over the top of us. I got another little story that's pretty funny. It's called The Determined Fisherman. When I lived over there in Port Arthur, Texas, I met this little boy that liked to fish about as much as I did. And he was telling me about a lake over in Louisiana, about a 2-hour drive from Port Arthur, that was just full of big old white perch, crappie. I said, well, you going to go? He said, won't we go tomorrow? Which was Saturday. No, I got to work Saturday. Well, I'm going to go anyway. If do any good, then we can go back over there Sunday. I said, that sounds good. Well, he took off, and we got to the Welcome Center right there at the Louisiana. No, it passed the Welcome Center. It was still dark. It was still after, it wasn't daylight yet. And he seen some sparks in the side view mirror coming out one side of his trail. So he pulled over. And sure enough, he'd blow the tire and run that thing on the rim, and it seized the bearings up. So he said, well, I just sat in the truck, got daylight, and I unhooked my boat, took all my fish tank out, and put it in the truck. And I drove into Port Arthur. And, no, I'm sorry.
Lake Charles.
Lake Charles. Excuse me, I'm getting a little old, folks. I forget every now and then. Anyway, he pulled in Lake Charles and went down to a place that sold marine supplies and all. They waited till they opened up and went in there. And he didn't have the money. He had a credit card. And he wanted to get a spare tire with the rim and all, and a set of bearing seals and everything. He knew he was going to change it all out. They wouldn't sell him one. No, we don't take credit cards. So he got his truck, drove all the way back to Port Arthur. Went to a place that he knew would take his credit card. And he went and got him a spare tire and bearing seals and everything. And got him a grinder and all, because he figured he might have to cut that bearing off that spindle. He had a little battery-powered grinder. He went down there, and it took him a couple hours. They finally got it all changed out. And it done got late. It was probably 3 o'clock in the evening. He said it was way too late to even think about going fishing. My little baby's in Ainsley here. She's getting cold. I think she's getting cold. I see her shaving her a little bit. Mark, you might want to put her inside.
I'll get her in a second. Finish.
But anyway, he come home, and then he told his wife, he said, I'm going again in the morning. She said, After what you went through today, you going to try to go over there again tomorrow? He said, yes, I am. Well, next morning, way before daylight, he gets to his truck and he takes off. And when he got to the Louisiana Welcome Center, he pulled in because he wanted to feel, make sure that bear wasn't running hot, that new bearing. Everything felt good, so he went and used the bathroom, come back out, tried to crank the truck, and all do click, 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 click. The darn battery done went out in the truck. So he got his tools and everything. He took the battery out of the boat, put it in the truck, cranked it up, and off he went. He's going fishing. Well, he got over there, and he seen the sign. I can't remember the name of the lake. I want to say it called Black Lake or something like that. It was a man-made lake. They dammed up a little river and just flooded all through that bottom land and all. Made a beautiful lake. Anyway, he had to look in the rearview mirror and he heard a noise. He seen his trailer leaning real bad to one side. And he seen dust and stuff coming from underneath. So he pulled over the side and stopped. But what had happened, his spring, the little trailer had one spring on it and it broke. Well, the spring is the only thing that holds the frame of that trailer to the axle. So anyway, when the spring broke, the boat come down on top of the tire. And it made a war spot on it, but it didn't go all the way through. But now here he is with the tire. The boat's sitting on top of the tire because the boat on that side doesn't drop down. He's trying to figure out how in the world he's going to fix it. So I don't think he knew he had to find something, 2x4 or something to block it up. So he took off walking. He must have walked a half mile one way, a half mile the other way before he found a couple of 2x4s where people had thrown him out or something. He goes back. He got to eat that boat. The boat had a 40 horsepower Tohatsu on it. And he picked that son of a gun up with his back, on his knees and his back, lifted it up high enough to get them 2x4s underneath the frame of that trailer and that axle. And he held it up about 1.5 inches, 2 inches above the tire. And said, well, that'll have to do. So he took some 1/4 inch rope he had in the boat and he tied everything off every way he could. He even tied the shaft, the axle shaft, and all, so it couldn't go back. So he said the only thing that holds that son of a gun to the frame is the springs, you know. So off he goes. Yeah, he's doing about 20 miles an hour. Well, he finally come to a little bait house that he was told about. And he pulled in and got him some minnows. And the guy told him exactly how to get down to the launching ramp and everything. Well, but a mile or so past that little store. So he goes on down in there. Already it's about 35, 40 minutes after daylight because he's had problems, you know. Well, he launched the boat very carefully, pulled the trailer up out of the way, then he took the battery out of the truck, went down there and put it in the boat, hooks everything up. The boat won't crank. That motor has never refused to crank for me. It's never let me down. He sat there and wow, 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 wow. He said, well, I'm going to go fishing if I run my darn battery down. It would need it for his trolling motor. So he shoved off and he went fishing. He caught 2 nice big white perch. He went maybe a mile. He was scared to go a little any further than that because he was scared that battery would go out. He had to paddle back. He never had enough trouble as it was. So he went back to the launch ramp and he got there. There was a young man and his wife. They were launching a little 12-foot aluminum battery. He didn't have a trailer. He drug out of the back of the truck and had a couple of cane poles and stuff. They didn't have a whole lot of nothing. And I bought 100 minutes. He had bought 100 minutes. Didn't use maybe 5 or 6 of them. So I asked him. He said, do y'all want these minnows? I got a couple of white perch you can have too. So he gave him the white perch and the minnows. He thought, y'all help me get my boat up on my trailer. He showed him what happened. He said, sure. Got the boat up on our trailer. Here he goes. He knew there was no way he could get out on the interstate because he can't drive over 15, 20 miles an hour. He's 125 miles from Port Arthur at least. So he said, well, I'm just going to take every little road I can find that's going west. And that's what he done. He left there. He seen a road. He could see the sun. He knew he was heading west. He'd go down that road to make a turn. He'd find another road, go west, kept going. And finally, he crossed the Sabine River. When he crossed the Sabine River to Texas, he knew where he was at then. So he went on home and pulled up there, parked his boat. And his wife come out and said, well, how everything go? He said, you don't want to know. He said, let me show you. He got showing off everything that happened. She said, I've heard of bad luck. That is the worst luck I've ever heard in my life. He said, yep, but I went fishing. Now, can y'all recognize who that fisherman was? You're looking at him, the old hunter. A very determined fisherman. Talk to y'all later. Probably 15 minutes.